Welcome to PRAJNA SPARKS, a podcast where we listen to a Dharma talk, contemplate with our minds and in our hearts, and engage in guided meditation. In this episode, we explore Zopa Parotujimpa, in Tibetan, Shanti Paramita, usually translated as the transcendent perfection of patience. Every episode of PRAJNA SPARKS takes hours to plan, record, and edit. We ask that you give us just a little bit of your time today to subscribe and review our podcasts. Share it with your friends. Tell others what you gained from listening to these episodes. Alongside your own practice, this is the best possible offering you can make, as it helps us extend the gift of Dharma to new listeners. As we begin our explanation of the third of the 6 Mahayana paramitas, transcendent perfections, we can start to see a theme. When we looked at Dana Paramita, the practice of giving, and Shila Paramita, the discipline of creating an ethical sensibility in our lives, we saw how it's a lot more than action. It's a lot more about a mindset of openness, accessibility, caring for ourselves and others in the context of giving, of respect for others' time, their property, their tenderness, and the needs that we are able to meet. Similarly, with ethical sensibility, this is a discipline of finding ways to go deep into the joy of exploring our interconnection with other beings and with the world in a way that is respectful, kind, and resonant with abundance. All of these are qualities integral to mind. So we see that in practicing towards perfecting transcendent giving, transcendent ethics, what we are doing is resonating more and more with mind's true nature, perfectly giving, perfectly kind, caring, and wise. The more we actually engage in these practices, the more we start to see a dramatic change in our personality. These practices build character by accessing our inherent nobility right here and now. In our own individual ways, we enact the kindness, respect, and love for ourselves, for other beings, and for the environment at large surrounding us through these practices. When we come to Shanti Paramita, the transcendent perfection of patience, we see how that character is strengthened further. This Tibetan term, Zopa Parotujimpa, means a lot more than just patience, the most common translation in English. The Sanskrit, too, has a lot more depth and texture. This is not uncommon in the source languages of Buddhist heritage throughout Asia. So let's take a look at what Zopa in Tibetan means to have an understanding of what practicing towards the transcendent perfection of Zopa actually looks like. We use the term Zopa certainly to refer to what in English is commonly called patience. For example, not getting irritable when we're waiting past the time we're supposed to at the doctor's office or at the checkout to pay for our groceries. These are fairly minor instances, however. There's also a quality of forbearance or withstanding hardship. Sometimes we face things in life that have little value to our immediate sensory experience, hardships or trials that feel very taxing, even overwhelming, and we do everything we can to escape them, heal from them, and ease their burden. All of these are valuable things, and sometimes they are still not enough. Sometimes the only thing left to do is to bear witness with the time of hardship for a while, with all the strength we can muster, and recognize that however painful, however undesirable, as the saying goes, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Who wants to do that all the time? Nobody. This is perhaps why patience, Zopa, or Shanti, gets such a bad rap. It doesn't stop there. There's also a quality of forgiveness. This term Zopa in Tibetan is used in prayers where we ask for pardon or forgiveness about our missteps in ritual practice, for example. This is a quality of self-forgiveness or open-heartedness with our own missteps along the way. An open-heartedness that is multidimensional, that doesn't wait to be called upon, but is ready and available for us to access for our own benefit and to extend to others at all times. It's a quality of pardon. Now notice, you don't have to pardon someone who's made no mistakes, who's not done anything wrong. Pardon implies that there's been some kind of transgression, be it small or major. And nevertheless, there is a kind-hearted, open-minded extension of pardon. It is unearned. It is gratuitous. It is mercy, another sense of Zopa. This is such an important mindset to have for ourselves. We can be so hard on ourselves. One of the ways that we can practice the transcendent perfection of Zopa is to be kind to ourselves, to pardon ourselves our missteps, even at the same time that we acknowledge them and wish to grow stronger. In the Mahamudra tradition of the Kagyu lineage of Tibetan Buddhism, these kinds of seeming contradictions are a sign that we're on the right track. When we can hold the paradox of acknowledging our missteps and pardoning ourselves with kindness so that we can level the playing field and move forward, we are holding a series of contradictions in a spacious embrace that allows us to be all that we are, holding ourselves accountable for our actions without shaming, judging, or harming ourselves. This is Zopa. The same can be extended to other beings. Forgiveness is often maligned as well, but from the standpoint that we are describing the practice of Zopa, forgiveness is more about allowing things to be as they are without holding a grudge. In other words, what we just said about ourselves can be applied to others and can even be applied to life at large. When events happen that nobody is responsible for, and nevertheless cause us difficulty. Because the Zopa can mean so much, my favorite way to translate it into English is not patience or forgiveness, not pardon or forbearance. Zopa is magnanimity, the constant state of being ready, willing, and joyful to accept ourselves, others, and life just as it is, without shaming, judging, blaming, or mischaracterizing, and at the same time, not whitewashing or pretending that we're so happy with things that we're not. It's an attitude of extending the promise and the knowledge of mind's true nature with its excellent qualities of love, compassion, wisdom, power, and so forth to every event, every being, and every moment of our own successes and missteps with equal joy, with equal tolerance, with equal acceptance. Is that not noble? Is that not big-hearted? Don't let anyone, including yourself, talk you out of being as noble as you are, as noble as your true nature allows. which is infinite. Start now. When we engage life in this way, we build on the character that we already started to shape in the practice towards the transcendent perfection of giving and the transcendent perfection of an ethical sensibility. Do you see how all of these are starting to jump off of the two-dimensional space and into a beautiful multidimensional sphere which holds us and allows us to grow into all that we could be? When we have magnanimity on our side, when that is a resource that we access, then the difficulties that we encounter in life, the challenges that our various activities present, become more manageable. This is not to say that we can't get sad or discouraged or angry. What it means is that we call up that quality of magnanimity in all of those circumstances, aware that there is always a way to perceive things so that they are actually a move forward towards liberation, whether they feel good or not. Magnanimity operates precisely because it is subversive to meet discomfort, displeasure, and even pain with the magnanimity of giving, of correctness, of joy, and love. Magnanimity holds all our experiences with a tender strength and an understanding that this too shall pass, but not in the sense of victimizing ourselves. Quite the contrary. Magnanimity is the strength to be the hero in our own story, in our own lives, no matter what life throws at us. This is something we can give to ourselves, we can give to others, and in doing, we generate an environment of tolerance, acceptance, beauty, and open-hearted courage, all the way until the transcendent perfection of magnanimity that goes beyond the idea of self and other, something to bear, something to forgive, something to be patient with. It is magnanimous in all its ways. It continues to develop exponentially all the way to perfect and complete enlightenment, where we are able to extend that magnanimity in all directions, throughout all time, for all beings. May it be so. This is Yeshe and Zopa for PRAJNA SPARKS. Be sure to join us every month on the new and full moons for fresh episodes. Stay tuned now for contemplation tips and a guided meditation with Lamas Zopa. Shivnee is our Tibetan singing bowl artist. Thank you so much for generously giving us some of your time out of your day today to like, subscribe, share, and review PRAJNA SPARKS. It really does help us to spread the gift of Dharma to new listeners. Should you have any questions, contact us via email, Instagram, or Facebook. Check the episode notes for those links and for more resources on today's topic. Visit us on the web at prajnafire.com or follow us on Instagram and Facebook at PRAJNA SPARKS. Thank you for listening. May all beings benefit.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the contemplation on the paramita of magnanimity. Could also say that the paramita of patience, but I just so love this translation of the term as magnanimity, as Lamas Yeshe was describing. To me, it feels like it really captures the essence of what the teaching is pointing us towards. These contemplations that we engage in are such a rich space for exploring the Dharma, for comparing and contrasting it with our own experience, for finding what it is that delights us in the Dharma, for opening those new doors of understanding for ourselves that really can only come about not through thinking our way into it, but having a correct understanding of what the teachings mean, a correct understanding of what it is that the teachings are saying. In this regard, we're talking about patience or magnanimity. So really having an accurate sense of what it is that the Buddha is getting towards when he speaks of the transcendent perfection of magnanimity. And at the same time, feeling into that in our own experience, turning it over in our mind, this sense of there's something valuable there, and how do I make use of it? How do I integrate it? How do I let that change me? These contemplations can be done anywhere. We can do them in the morning when we're walking out the door to go to work, or in the evening as we're relaxing, or really at any time, whenever it pops up, we can just continue to delve deeper into asking ourselves, what is it that the teachings mean here? What is it? How does that feel? Is that true in my own life? So I really encourage you to take the time to process in this way, to work with the teachings in this way. Something we do naturally. And yet, if we bring our concentrated attention, if we do it with intentionality, this can really help us dive deeper and see results more and more. For this contemplation on magnanimity, here are a couple of jumping off points that you may ask yourself around this topic. First, just that word that's usually translated as patience. What does that call up for me? Is that a quality that I even want to have? And if patience feels problematic, what if I think of it as magnanimity? And here I'm just going to read the definition of magnanimity from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. It is loftiness of spirit, enabling one to bear trouble calmly, to disdain meanness and pettiness, and to display a noble generosity. How does that feel, hearing that? Is that a quality that I would like to engender and train up in my life? Where's my discomfort with that? Where's my enthusiasm with that? Does this feel like it's something important to me? Some further questions we can ask ourselves as we explore this might be, do I think or feel that patience is equivalent with weakness? Does it seem like I'm letting the world walk all over me? And if so, what's underneath that? So often we can have a sense of needing something from the world, trying to bend it to our will, to our wishes. And there seems to be an aspect, a theme that emerges from these paramitas that we've explored so far, of finding an ease, a contentment, where we're not trying to make the world and its appearances something other than how it seems to us. It's almost like a release. What would it be like to live that way? To live with that open-hearted ease of magnanimity, where we don't get ruffled and frustrated, where we don't try to make people see things the way that we see them, or demand an alignment with the way we think things should be. How is it that I can relate to the practice of patience, the practice of magnanimity, as an opportunity for delight, coming right from within a difficult moment, as opposed to a boot pressing down on my neck, telling me that I have to bear what is unbearable. How does it feel to relate to it in these different ways? As with all the contemplations, please take whatever seems useful here and use it as a springboard to delve into your own relationship with magnanimity. For this episode's meditation on magnanimity, we'll begin as we usually do, simply by taking our seats, by grounding, coming into the present moment. We can do this just with a deep sigh. Allowing ourselves to feel what it feels like to be supported by the earth, by the chair that we're in, by our posture, and uplifted, energetic in our core, vibrant and alive, allowing ourselves really just to feel and be present in this moment, not pushing away any experience or thought or emotion or feeling or discomfort, allowing it to be there, but also not over-identifying with it, not getting lost in its storyline, and just allowing this beautiful nexus of being present here and now. So let's just take a couple moments to feel into that for ourselves. And then, having arrived, we'll allow ourselves to cultivate that practice of tranquility, of shamatha meditation, really honing our one-pointed attention that's easeful yet alert. We can do this by focusing one-pointedly on the breath without altering or changing it, just allowing it to be a focal object for our awareness, resting gently there. So we know whenever we start to get distracted or agitated or dull in mind, and applying the antidote, bringing our awareness back to that sharp yet easeful, one-pointed attention. So please join me in practicing like that for a minute or two. in that space of still one-pointed concentration, shift your attention to the investigation, the analytical meditation on magnanimity. We can begin this by feeling into our body. What does it feel like when we think of practicing patience? What arises for us as we imagine ourselves being magnanimous in the face of frustration or hurt, boredom, or disappointment? Allow your mind to explore this imaginative practice within its confines, so that we're imagining ourselves being disappointed, being hurt, and practicing magnanimity, that loftiness of spirit that's able to bear trouble calmly, that doesn't fall into meanness or pettiness, and that takes the opportunity that's afforded to us by hardship, by cruelty towards us, recognizing it as this really unique opportunity to build character, to take joy in what is difficult. How amazing that this shift in perspective can take what might feel like a burden in one moment and turn it into a sense of joy, uplift, and opportunity. What is it like to imagine being the hero in our own lives, no matter what vicissitudes life might throw at us? Having this boundless capacity to meet hardship, to meet difficulty and disappointment without letting it crush us, but rather with that sense of easeful contentment. What does that feel like? Can we tap into a sense of enthusiasm for that? Do we feel the aliveness inside of us that even just imagining that can bring? And if resistance comes up here for you, welcome that. Explore what that is telling you. Allow there to be this spaciousness where you inquire, what is really present here for me? What am I seeking? What am I afraid of? And allow the answers to come or not. Allow the questions to be there, either way. Whenever we get a sense of clarity or a sense of enthusiasm, a feeling like, oh wow, I really want this magnanimity. How amazing would it be to live that way, to embody that? When you have that feeling, rest one-pointedly in it. Drop the imagining, drop the thinking, and just focus mind one-pointedly on that enthusiasm or that clarity. If that's not what's coming up for you in this meditation right now or in this session, that's fine. All of this is grist for the mill. All of this is the way of making Dharma our own in a way that's meaningful. So if we're feeling resistance, boredom, whatever it might be, allow that to be in there. Inquire into it in the space of open-hearted curiosity, as this too is a practice of Zopa, magnanimity. So much of these recent practices on the paramitas, these recent explorations of the paramitas, can be summed up as a shift in perspective, where we're starting to delve into the sense of these practices as being ones of interior delight as opposed to exterior shoulds placed upon us. Can you feel that? What does that do for you as you start to shift perspective in that way? What vistas open up for you? As ever, we thank you so much for your practice and for all that you do. Please take whatever goodness has come from this listening, contemplating, and meditating on Zopa, on magnanimity, and share it with ourselves and all beings, such that we can develop this full contentment of being that is the recognition of our own minds, of our own Buddha nature, fully to the greatest degree in the awakening of Buddha. Thank you.